I'm Jeff Butler with the Butler Law Firm. This is the second video in our series on should I hire a lawyer, which is a question that lots of people ask themselves after a personal injury or a wrongful death. Of course, the answer depends, as we said in the first video of the series. Not every case needs a lawyer, but some do. And if you decide not to hire a lawyer, which is absolutely your right, you ought to know about some of the tricks that professional insurance adjusters use to try to keep money for their insurance companies by refusing to give it to you, the claimant. We covered tricks 1 through 5 in the first video of the series, so now we'll talk about tricks 6 through 10. The first of these, number 6, is in red because that's a big one. Insurance adjusters do their job professionally. Day in and day out, they are negotiating against people who have been hurt or who have lost a family member. They know that the people they're negotiating against don't like doing this, aren't having any fun, never thought they'd be doing this, and don't do it professionally. They also know that oftentimes those people are in pain. Oftentimes those people can't work. Oftentimes those people have financial situations that are getting worse and worse every day. And I'm sad to say that they often take advantage of that. Insurance companies very often will delay and drag out claims in hopes of wearing down the person they're negotiating against, in hopes that the person that they're dealing with will get desperate and take less money because that saves the insurance company money. The delays can take lots of forms. One of the most common ones is requesting document after document after document. They'll say, at first they might say, well, send me your medical bills. And if you send that, they might say, well, send me an MRI. And if you send that, they might say, well, send me proof of lost earnings. And if you send that, it's, well, send me something else, a driver's license, proof of insurance, some crazy thing that doesn't really matter. And maybe they even already have. Insurance companies will delay and drag things out until someone gets desperate and they can settle the case for cheap. Number 7 in our series is claim that hiring a lawyer is going to drag things out. This makes no sense if you think about it, but insurance adjusters do say it. An insurance company never wants the person they're negotiating against to hire a lawyer because that's going to mean the insurance company has to pay more money, which is the opposite of what they want. So they'll say, don't hire a lawyer because lawyers always drag everything out. If you think about that, it doesn't make any sense. I'm a personal injury and wrongful death lawyer, and like almost everyone else in my profession, what we charge, our legal fee, that is the revenue that keeps my law firm going, comes in only when and if a case resolves as a percentage of the total number recovered in the case. So the lawyer doesn't get paid unless until the case ends. Why would the lawyer want to drag it out? The lawyer wants the same thing you do. A recovery that is as large as possible and as fast as possible. Okay. So number 7, this claim that lawyers always drag everything out is illogical. Number 8, the quote causation, end quote, defense. Lots of people, when they call an insurance adjuster and start trying to negotiate over the amount of money that should be paid, think that the biggest issue is going to be who's at fault. As we covered in the first video in this series, that's not usually the case. One of the things that insurance companies love to fight about is injury causation. They'll want to go through every medical record they can find of the person who's been hurt from before and long before the collision. And even sometimes for well after the collision when treatment is over. And what they're looking for is some type of injury in a medical record from 15 years ago or whatever that suggests the person who's hurt had already sustained an injury to whatever body part has now been hurt. Let's say that someone's in a collision and they suffered a low back injury and had to have a spinal fusion to repair the damage. Well, the insurance company wants to find some other record from 15 years ago where this person complained of low back pain. Because then what the insurance company wants to do is take that record and go forward with it to a jury, to a judge, or even just to the claimant in negotiations and say, look, it wasn't this car wreck that caused the damage. Therefore, we shouldn't have to pay it because the damage to the lower back was already there 15 years ago. Number 9 is ignore future medical issues. A lot of times when folks call insurance companies to try to deal with claims, they don't realize what all can be compensated. Everyone knows about past medical bills. That makes sense. Most people have heard of pain and suffering. That makes sense. But the law realizes that injuries don't have finite ending points. If someone has a low back injury, there's a chance that that's never going away. Sometimes those are permanent. Certain surgical fixes, particularly for spinal injuries, can cause future problems down the road, cause arthritis or degeneration of adjoining vertebrae, that is the parts of the spine next to the surgical site, can deteriorate in the future. In very serious injuries, there may be long-lasting problems that will never go away, such as paralysis. In circumstances like that, a claimant is entitled to money not only to compensate them for what they have been through, but for what they're going to be going through for the remainder of their lives, if that's how long it's going to last. Insurance companies don't often talk about that. Number 10 is record you and spy on you. Most of us, I think, if we stop and think about it, realize that sometimes the insurance company may record you, even if you don't know that's happening, in hopes of using it against you later, even out of context. That's troublesome. But even worse than that is insurance companies will spy on you. I've seen this happen. I've cross-examined and taken depositions of the spies that they have hired. They'll hire private investigators to go follow people around and try to get some video or some picture of the person doing something that supposedly shows that they're not really hurt. It could be something as innocent as getting in or out of a car. And they'll want to come to court if someone has suffered a spinal injury or a low back injury or something like that and say, look, this person's getting in and out of the car and they look fine. You may not be able to see the person's face and know whether they're hurting, but the insurance company will want to say, look at that. This person's not really hurt. Look what our spy uncovered.